Start rocking and rolling. Okay. Coaches coaching. My two favorite parts of the week, Wednesday and Thursday mornings. I think we're on episode, 17 today.
Yep.
We've got Layne Nordquist in the house. I believe he's in university doing some 6-point rocks. Look at him. I mean, just ready to go, dude. He's gearing up. All right, so if you're an intern, please make sure you text your name either on the chat or you can text it to your head trainer, and then we'll have you guys send a message to your head trainer at the end of the day as well once we're done. But today we are talking overhead squat, some things with the FMS, how it ties into strength and things of that nature. We got a couple different slides and things of that nature. And as we go, Layne, if there's any particular thing you're wanting me to pull up, as we go, please remind me and I'll pull that up for you. But guys, we're talking the first part of the FMS screen, the overhead squat. And so I'll let Layne kind of give a little bit of a intro into it, and then we'll get rock and rolling.
Perfect. Thanks, RJ. Did those pictures come through?
Yeah, they did. You want me to show? Which ones do you want me to show?
Yes, I want you to show, the first picture I want you to show is the picture that shows all of the tests: active straight leg raise, shoulder mobility, rotary stability. Kind of has them all lined up in red, gray, and black.
Okay.
So what we're going to show you guys is show you essentially what all of the 7 FMS screens are. And one of the things to understand is, like, we reviewed on this call now several different FMS tests.
Sorry, I'm running into a little bit of an issue. Are you able to read that?
Let me see if I can share it on
Sorry,
mine.
I'm having some technical difficulties on my end.
Let me just see if it will let me share a photo. Okay, man. Hold, please. 1 second.
Sorry, I'm having some issues on my end. My thing's not, the button I normally press is not there. I apologize.
Good morning, how are you? Thanks, Tom.
Anyways, guys, essentially, don't worry too much about that that diagram. I'll send it in the email with it after. But essentially, the deep squat. So you have 3 different things you're looking at with the FMS.
Mr. Lawrence.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm muting everybody. Give me a sec.
Okay, so you have 3 things you're looking at with the FMS. Okay, you have mobility tests. That's your active straight leg raise, and that is your shoulder mobility. Okay, you have motor control. Okay, can you actually control yourself dynamically? That's your rotary stability and your trunk stability. Okay, then you have your 3 movement patterns. Okay, can you actually have functional patterning of a compound integrated movement? That's your deep squat, your inline lunge, and whatever the 7th one is slipping my mind. But you get the idea. So the deep squat is putting all of those together. That's why it's such a great screen, is because it is actually challenging you to be able to control your body through a compound movement that requires mobility and stability throughout the entire chain. So when we test the FMS deep squat, it lets us learn a lot. So what I want to do is 2 things. First, I'm going to have Ryan film me through the FMS deep squat test so you can get an idea of what it looks like. You'll get to see my poor movement quality. And then we'll help you understand that you don't actually have to do the FMS test while you're training in order to actually implement and improve squat mechanics and squat function, as long as you understand the stability WOD and the strength progressions. So RJ, could you highlight? Perfect. There it is. All right. So first one, I'm going to go through these. And RJ, do you want to just walk me through what I'm doing here? And it's going to be quite obvious that I'm not a 3.
Yeah, so as he goes through the squat, guys, with an overhead squat, he's going to place the bar over his head. He's going to get into a deep squat. And as he goes into that deep squat, what we're looking for is a couple things. We're looking for where his back alignment is in relation to his shin, right? We're looking at where his knee position is in as he's going down. Are they caving in, right? So biggest thing, so you can see, is he's staying down at that bottom position. Try and stay down as long as you can, that bottom position. Look at him from the side for me, Ryan. So guys, as he's going through that position, you can see his shin angle in relation to his back angle, right? So he's a little bit in front. Go ahead, yeah, relax. Do that one more time. So you can see his back angle is in front of the shin angle. If I were to draw a line on his shin and draw a line on his back, that back angle is going to be steeper than the line angle on his shin. So that those hands should be rocked back a little bit further. So that's the difference between a 3 and a 2. You're going to watch as he elevates his heels. He's going to do the same exact movement, and then watch his back angle in comparison to his shin angle. There you go. You can see now his back angle is way further back. I wish I had lines that I could be able to draw on it. But you can see his back is way further back than his shins. The hands are further back, and it's all just from elevating those heels. So that's the difference between a 3 and a 2. Now, if he wasn't able to do that with his heels elevated, then that makes him a 1. Right? So on the FMS screening, you got 1, 2, 3. So right there, I would score him a 2 on the FMS.
Yep. And I'm a 2 on the FMS, so that that tells me I don't have the full mobility requirement. Here. I'm just hearing the echo of yours, I think. So anyways, I don't have the mobility requirement that's needed to fully perform that, right? I have slight restriction. And the cool thing is with the FMS, if you do the entire screen, it'll highlight all those things, right? Like when I do the inline test, it highlights even further that I have a slight restriction in my ankle mobilities. Well, now I can go work on that and it'll improve it, right? So the cool thing is, though, like I talked before on this, is you do not need to fully do the whole test, all 7 screens in our program, because we have the understanding of the stability WOD, okay? So RJ, could you share the screen? And I want to just walk these guys through ahead of time so they know where we're going with this. Share the Word document I sent. So this is the stability WOD in regards to squat patterning. So now that you understand the deep squat test, okay, and what you're looking for on a 3, what you're looking for on a 2, what you're looking for on a 1, okay, now we want to say, okay, what does a squat look like? Remember, we keep talking about the concept of this looks a lot like that, okay? Well, there's many different things that are a squat. Perfect. So as you can see on that screen, okay, you have your 90-90 breathing. That's essentially, can they even get in the position or the posture of a squat and then do activation to activate the appropriate muscles, right? If they couldn't even get into 90-90 breathing, which is pretty much nobody, okay, then you know you have serious problems. But that's like the furthest regression from a squat. But a lot of people would not recognize when you have somebody on their back in a 90-90 breathing position, which we will show in a second. A lot of people would not recognize, hey, I'm actually looking at a squat, okay? Then from there, flip them over, and you start doing those 6-point rocks. You're still doing a squat, okay? You're just working on now, do they even have the mobility unloaded to move through the full squat pattern, okay? And then from there, we're gonna walk them through an assisted squat pattern and say, okay, can they acquire the pattern and the motor control to move through an upright unloaded squat? They can, great. They can do a bodyweight squat, great. Okay, let's start loading them up. Then you do your strength, and then you do your power, right? So that's what the stability WOD is about is, okay, do they have the posture? Do they have the mobility? Do they have the motor control, the strength, and the power? It's understanding each one of those can have its own version of the squat. And then underneath that's the strength progressions of the squat. We'll get to those in a little bit. So first, let's jump back through, and I'll just have you, because I'm not going to be looking at the screen, RJ, I'll have you spotlight Ryan's video again, and let's just walk you guys through these different stability WOD progressions really quick. Okay, so the first one, 90-90 breathing, right? So this would be your most regressed position, right? And now from this position, I'm going to teach my client to approximate their core, right? To drive their rib cage down and get their core engaged. I'm going to have them drive their heels slightly so they can engage their posterior chain and get a slight pelvic tilt, and then just work on their breathing, right? But this is, notice, if you're looking at what you look like in the squat test, this is a squat, right? And for some people, they might be so tight and so bound up that they literally just need to work on breathing and tension. And this might be the best thing for them in their squat. And when you can help them understand, this is where your current squat is at, and we're going to work on loosening you up. There's certain people, right, who that's going to be, they're probably going to be the extreme end, but who doing that in their workout is going to be good for them.
Hey guys, and one of the things I want to point out that he's talking about is, a lot of this, some of this is just neurological resets, right? And that they, their body might be able to do the movement. They might be, they might not have a mobility issue. It might just be a neurological thing, right? As soon as they start to, as soon as they brace up, as soon as they tense, or as soon as, something happens, it shuts down. They're not able to get in that squat. So that's, you're looking at him, and he's, he is giving a very extreme example. You're going to have probably one out of,
not a lot,
1 out of 50, maybe 100 clients that are really struggling with that. But that's, why we start at that base, there, and then work our way from that.
And to piggyback on what RJ's saying, that first one, the posture and the breathing, that doesn't have to be the lift for most clients. That could just be at the beginning where you have them do their breathing. Give you a cool example. I remember one of the first times the CFSC guys came and they talked to us about breathing, right? And they tested our shoulder mobility. And I remember specifically they tested RJ, and without even stretching, without even warming up, without even doing anything, they tested him, had him breathe for about 2 or 3 minutes on his back like that, and then retested him. And RJ, you gained like 7 centimeters or something of mobility on your shoulder screen, just from breathing, right? So those neurological resets RJ is talking about are very powerful. And so understanding that's big. Okay, so then moving up the chain, guys, you've got them in the position, but now you want to start seeing, okay, can they move through the pattern without load, right? Because a 6-point rock.
Sorry, real quick, let me just show.
Yeah, please.
This. So he just did the 90-90. Now we're going to quadruped hip rocking. So just so we're all on the same page. I love the multiple angles too. This is amazing.
Oh yeah, isn't that just like amazing?
Get the side. We're able to get underneath. Where else can we get this camera?
Dude, this is kind of like next level ESPN stuff. With the 6-point rock, notice how deep I can get into my squat. So you can tell in this position, I don't have any mobility restrictions going through the squat pattern. It's when I add load to the pattern. Now, when I'm adding stability requirements, that's where I start to compensate and where tight muscles start to be a problem. But in an unloaded squat, that's what a rock is. This is an unloaded squat. If you bring me up right, it's the exact same pattern here as it is here, right? So again, for some people, doing those 6-point rocks is an incredible reset where you're helping their body relearn the movement pattern, right? And if they can get that movement pattern down, you've got a foundation to start building on. So that's the next progression up the chain.
Okay, so going back to what he's talking about right now, a lot of these first two are neurological resets, mobility resets, posture resets, right? And now he's getting into a little bit more, as he's going supported and assisted squats. Now we're getting a little bit more, adding a little bit more to it. Okay.
So now the next one you'd be walking through is, okay, I got, I'm moving up the chain. Now I need to go through actually helping their body move through more of a upright, loaded, it's supported, but now I'm actually having to control my body weight. Okay. So there's a couple I really like. The TRX one's great because they can control up and down and assist themselves through that full squat pattern using a TRX strap. The other one that Brendan shows in the stability WOD is walking, like kind of a pole supported squat. Notice now I'm walking myself all the way to the bottom of the squat, walking myself up through the squat. And, and as soon as you got them down through that, you were going to move right to a body weight squat. Can they now take that motor learning they did and control it through the whole pattern? Okay. Now, one thing to mention, we started on the furthest regressions. You're usually going to start with the body weight squat, right? The body weight squat's going to be your baseline. You're not going to start clients on their back doing 90-90 breathing. You're going to start them, seeing how they move in a body weight squat. And then those first ones we showed, going back to the TRX supported squat, going back to the rocking, going back to the 90-90 breathing, those are going to be tools for you to say, okay, I watched their body weight squat and there's obviously a problem. I need to now, make an intervention. I need to change something because what I'm looking at is not functional movement. So now let's get to the fun stuff.
Wait, real quick.
Now,
before you get to the fun stuff, before you get to the fun stuff, I want to do boring stuff real quick. Okay,
yeah, please.
So going back to what he was saying, right? I just want to reiterate it again. So he said, if you're able to just watch someone, because sometimes I think with trainers, especially with new interns and newer trainers, we're not sure where to start, right? And so he just gave, hey, look, if you just do, if you took those, he gave about 4 or 5 different things between the 90-90 and the hip rocking and now the squats. If you took, if you just basically started with an unsupported, just a regular body weight squat, right? You'll be able to start with that and be able to work from there and have an idea of where to go from there once you see that squat, right? And the more squats you see, and that's why we say that repetition, right? The more squats you see, the more of an expert you become, right? Because you're able to, once you've seen 1,000 squats, you know what a good squat looks like and you know what a bad squat looks like. Once you've seen 10,000 squats, now you really know, right? And so that's why we say, start now with that baseline and then working from there. But yeah, you can just go right into that unsupported squat, look at that, and then go into some of those 90-90s and quadruped and all that good stuff.
And guys, there's no substitute for doing the reps. And I don't mean you doing the reps as the exercise. I mean you watching people do the reps, like RJ's talking about. That comes with experience. That comes with time. That comes with, like you said, watching 10,000 squats. There's just no substitute for that. So embrace it and love it. Let's get to, do you want to show that document one more time? Let's talk about, now we want to start saying, okay, the pattern is good. And when the pattern is good, and RJ and Thane and Nick have all mentioned this on different calls, when the pattern's good, guys, we got to start building capacity. We got to start loading it up. We got to start creating a monster, okay? So from there, you notice Brendan gave one example of a strength move on his stability WOD, and that's a double kettlebell goblet squat. But when you scroll down on this, I inserted our regressions and progressions, which are the strength movements for our squat pattern, okay? So when RJ scrolls down just a tiny bit on this page, you'll see, okay, strength progressions of the goblet squat. We've already walked through. I'm going to just start us at the baseline, okay? Just a regular goblet squat. I'm going to put this right here. Okay, so we've got the pattern down. They can do a really good body weight squat. It looks great. From there, you're going to do a goblet squat, okay? So I'm right here, tuck in the elbows, and I'm going to start adding load to this pattern. And I'm still screening all of the same things, okay? Squatting to a box, contact with the chest. And now the thing that you're going to find is they might have been able to do it perfectly, body weight, and now all of a sudden you add load to the mix and they melt like a candle, right? Or they're doing this or whatever they're doing, right? So you might have to say, okay, I need to adjust the load to meet them where they're at. So you notice the baseline was goblet squat to a box, or right below that, it said counterbalance, right? Well, maybe they don't have the control yet or the rotational stability or the trunk stability. So you might have to, counterbalance to a box. So you might have to.
Okay, I'm highlighting it here on the sheet, counterbalance to box, so you have an understanding of where he's at and what he's working on.
Perfect. So you might have to go back. You know how just like elevating my heels during that test improved my squat? You'll be amazed how many people go to do their squat, you know, and I've got a client who I loaded her up and she just collapsed like this, okay? So I moved her back and I had her do a counterbalance, got her upright into a nice squat position by counterbalancing her weight, and her squat improved dramatically, okay? So these regressions and progressions are tools for you to get better squats out of your clients and systematically add load, add progression in a way that's going to continually make them better. So then moving down, we already walked through a lot of the corrective options, working through the pattern again, elevating the heels, coaching through those things. Now, moving up from there, okay, I did a 40-pound goblet squat. Well, now I can also do like what Brendan showed on the sheet, and that's a double kettlebell front squat. Okay, now I got two kettlebells I'm working with. I just doubled the load, and we've got some pretty heavy bells. I can go double 55s, double 60s. Now this is going to start being one of those big strength building squats, okay? And now that's going to give you a lot of mileage with your clients, right? You're not going to have tons and tons of clients who are doing the double 55s for 10 reps, no problem. But you will get some, absolutely. One of them's holding the camera right now. Okay, so those people, they need to progress up the chain and then move up to an even heavier squat, right? Because now I can load the barbell. I mean, RJ's front squat's out of control, okay?
Get on my level, Layne. Get on my level.
Working on it. So then from there, I can now load up a barbell and do a barbell front squat, okay? Same thing. And now this allows me even more availability for adding more load, right? I can keep throwing plates on all day. So now, can you guys see, let's recap this for a second. Can you see how we went from 90-90 breathing to rocking to TRX assisted squats to bodyweight squats to counterbalance squats to goblet squats, and I didn't even show offloaded squats, to double kettlebell squats to front squat. It's all the same thing, and that is so cool, because as you're a coach and you're watching, you're going to recognize, and the cool thing is you just got to get them started. Get them started on a baseline, get them moving, and then, okay, did it look good? Great, keep it going. Did it look like crap? Great, make an adjustment, right? And that's, in essence, that's how simple this can be. Did it look great? Did you coach it 3 times and it didn't get better? Okay, you need to regress. You need to intervene. You need to try something different and use this template of tools that we've given you now to actually have an intelligent pattern, an intelligent template to intervene that's going to help people get better, right? One of my favorite quotes from Martin Rooney is, anybody can make someone sweat. Not everyone can make someone better, right? We can crush our clients all day long, but are we making them better? That's why we would take this time on a early morning call, because this is the stuff, guys, that makes our clients better. You can't add load to dysfunctional movement. You're just saving bad patterns, and you're on a fast track to injury, and we're not about that game. You have thoughts on that, RJ?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Layne is saying. And then from a training standpoint, guys, what we're looking at, as he showed those progressions all the way down, and you saw at the very bottom of that list, that barbell front squat. That's the bottom of the list, right? And there's a reason it's at the bottom of the list, right? We've got to prove. You want to think about your client. It's kind of like leveling up on a game, right? Or that type of thing, right? They have to prove going through the tiers, right? You just don't become, ninja on Fortnite overnight. That doesn't happen, right? But my point is you got to work your way through the progressions, and then at the end, you're at that barbell squat. But then even at that point, there's still going to be motor patterns. There's still going to be things that need to be corrected. He mentioned me. I can squat quite a bit. But at the same time too, I'm constantly working on different mobility, different things. 6-point rocks, all of those things I've done probably in the last 6 weeks. If you look at, and we all have, right? And so that's what you're thinking is you've got this whole gamut of things to be able to work with people, and so you've got to meet your client where they're at. And work on what they need to work on at that time within that motor pattern. So, and
guys, just piggybacking on what RJ's saying, like what that little last 60 seconds of what RJ just said is in essence the foundation and philosophy of our program. That's tailored coaching right there. That's finding their entry point, meeting people where they're at, and then having the tools and a system that's going to get them systematically to their goals and change their life, right? When you think about somebody who came in and they had terrible mobility, their ankles weren't working well, and you got them doing 6-point rocks, you got them moving better, you got them feeling better, you got them starting to do bodyweight squats, and you progress them all the way up to front squats or double kettlebell squats. Not only are they going to burn fat and build muscle and feel better, like all those things are going to be byproducts of doing this process. But the other thing, and Thane brought this up on one of the other calls, you got to be confident and you got to explain what we just talked about to your clients. You don't have to explain it in the depth we did, but they have to have an understanding of what it is that you're doing with them so that they get excited about this process as well. And then when you add new levels and you add new things, like one of the things I didn't show, like, do you want to highlight Ryan's video really quick? Then when I'm doing a offloaded front squat, right? And it's the same thing, but to them, all of a sudden, you as a trainer gave them this way cool, brand new movement, and it's just an offloaded front squat, right? Or you change the tempo, or what any of the other variables that we have to improve things for our clients, then they absolutely will love training with you over and over and over, and they're going to seek mastery of these movements, which is what we're trying to do with them. So, anyways. Perfect. We're like right on time.
Sorry, just one more thing. Kind of
please.
On what he's saying is we're talking about you working through it, and what he's saying is you helping the client to connect the dots.
Yes.
Right. And so you might be doing, and going back to the sheet, you might be doing with them the first regression, the 90-90 breathing, right? But you can be able to show them and say, hey, look, we're eventually going to get to this, right? And you can show them a goblet squat. You can show them whatever, right? Or if you've done, one thing that we have trainers do and we want you to do is when you do level someone up, to recognize them on that, right?
Celebrate it.
Show them, hey, remember when you first trained with me 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and you could barely squat down, right? Remember that, Mrs. Jones? Remember what that was like? Now look at you. You're doing a goblet squat, right? And so helping them see that and recognize that and showing them that, that's going to be hugely vital and hugely important, because sometimes when you get people in some of these, 6-point rockers, some of these things, they look at you like, why am I doing this? But if you
what is this?
You can say, hey, today we're doing this, but that is so that tomorrow we can do this, right? We're doing the 6-point rock today so that tomorrow we can do goblet squats, right? And you connect those dots for those people. That's going to help them, realize where they're at and see the progression and have an understanding that, okay, I am doing this for a purpose. I need to get mobility in this area. Or I need to get stability in this area. So then we can load up, right? And then once you got them there, now load them up, right? Let's get them stronger. Let's get them faster. Let's get them moving, right? Don't be worried about that once you get them to that point, and then work on the mechanics as you go.
I just want to add one last thing to end the call. Guys, it's one thing to get on a call and listen to us talk about these things. It's another thing to get out, take action, and practice doing them. One of my favorite quotes, don't let your learning lead to knowledge, let your learning lead to action, okay? So get out on the floor today and walk through these with each other. Walk through them with your trainers. Walk through them with your head trainers. By doing them, you will learn them, you will cement them, you'll get good at them. So let's practice, and put these tools into our belt so we can actually use them with people and not just be something we chatted about on a call at 6 in the morning. So
Perfect.
That's all I got.
That was great. Thank you very much, Layne. Hey, guys, if you're an intern, by the way, you texted your name. The last thing you need to text to your head trainer is #bootygains. Okay, #bootygains to your head trainer to get credit for this morning's session.
Get them booty gains.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you for participating, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.